What if I told you, dear one, that all your life you have been trying to make withdrawals from the wrong bank? You have stood at the window of fear, presenting the check of your desires, only to be told, insufficient funds. And so you have walked away believing lack was your lot, limitation your destiny, and struggle the toll you must pay to exist upon this earth. But I come to tell you tonight, with divine authority, that there is another bank, a bank that never fails, a bank with infinite supply, drawn from the eternal substance of God Himself. This bank has no walls, no vaults, no guarded doors. Its riches are stored in spirit and paid out in miracles, and the signature that releases its treasure is not ink, but faith. Prove me now, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Do you hear? The windows of heaven are not locked. They await your word, your faith, your recognition of divine law. So I ask you, are you ready to stop begging at the doors of man and begin drawing unlimited wealth from God's bank? Are you willing to trade fear for faith, doubt for declaration, complaint for command? If your answer is yes, then speak the word with me now. All that is mine by divine right comes to me with speed, with grace, with ease, and with perfect fulfillment. Now, beloved, stay with me, for the word you are about to hear will shift your destiny forever. What if I told you that your fortune, your healing, your destiny, is not locked away in some faraway vault, but lies at the very edge of your tongue? What if I told you that every word you have ever spoken has been a deposit slip, a check written, an order placed, and the universe, with unerring precision, has delivered back to you the substance of your speech? Man thinks he lives by bread, but the Scripture declares, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Words are living things, they are seeds, they are forces more powerful than the atom, more enduring than stone, more creative than the brush of Michelangelo or the pen of Shakespeare. Your word is your wand, and by it you carve the shapes of your tomorrow. Yet how few know this truth. They speak idly, they joke carelessly, they murmur fearfully, and then they wonder why life delivers them sorrow. They have been writing checks from the bank of fear, and those checks never fail to clear. Words of sickness draw sickness. Words of poverty draw poverty. Words of delay summon delay. The law is exact and impartial. By thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Do you not see? You are the prophet of your own life. You stand at the altar of the infinite, declaring daily your faith in plenty or in lack, in life or in death, in joy or in sorrow, and heaven, being just, echoes back to you what you have proclaimed. Thomas Edison, the great inventor, understood this mystery. When he stood in the darkness of failure after thousands of experiments, he never said, I am defeated. He said, I have found another way that does not work. His word was law, and his faith called forth the light bulb from the unseen into the seen. Andrew Carnegie, once a poor boy in Scotland, refused to speak lack. He carried within him the word of abundance, and his word grew into an empire of steel. Walt Disney, bankrupt and mocked, dared to speak the word of imagination, and the kingdom of his speech became the magic kingdom the world knows today. These men were not mere dreamers. They were men who spoke their visions into form. They aligned their tongues with the divine bank of unlimited supply. They knew, perhaps unconsciously, the truth Jesus spoke. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, and they are life. Beloved, you must awaken to the power of your own decree. The tongue is a rudder that steers the ship of your destiny. Many cry out, Lord, why have you forsaken me? But heaven replies, why have you forsaken your word? For the word is the channel through which divine substance flows. Imagine with me, a man goes to the wrong bank. He hands the teller his slip, but his account is not there. He leaves angry, empty-handed. He curses the bank, not realizing he went to the wrong institution. So it is with many souls. They go daily to the bank of man, to the vault of circumstance, to the treasury of fear. They expect miracles from limited sources. They cry for bread from stones, for gold from dust. But the account of infinite wealth is held only in God's bank, and faith is the key that opens the vault. Do you not remember the widow of Zarephath? She had but a handful of meal and a little oil, and yet Elijah declared, the barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the cruse of oil fail. Her supply came by the spoken word of the prophet. Or consider Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus. He did not plead, he did not beg, he spoke, Lazarus, come forth. And the dead man obeyed the command of life. So too must you speak. You must say, even when your purse is empty, my supply is endless, drawn from the bank of God. Money comes to me in miraculous ways. All that is mine by divine right is now released to me. You must say, even when your body aches, I am whole, strong, radiant with the life of God. Every cell responds to the spoken word of health. You must say, even when doors seem shut, the gates of opportunity fly open before me. I walk into my divine destiny with ease and joy. For the universe is a mirror, and it reflects to you the images of your speech. Carl Jung declared, words are psychic units of energy. And Ernest Holmes, founder of religious science, said, the word you speak creates the law by which your life is governed. These are not idle metaphors. This is spiritual physics. As surely as gravity pulls the stone to earth, so does the law of the word draw to you its likeness. Prentice Mulford, one of the pioneers of New Thought, once wrote, the word thought is magnetic and will attract to itself the things suited to it. He knew, as I know, as you must know, that thought clothed in word is destiny taking form. Now hear me well, idle words are as dangerous as deliberate ones. For every word plants a seed, and a seed does not ask, did you mean this sincerely? It simply grows. That is why Jesus warned, every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. And what is judgment but the harvest of your own seed? Therefore, let your words be few, but let them be filled with power. Speak not of sickness, lest you invite it. Speak not of lack, lest you enlarge it. Speak not of fear, lest you embody it. Instead declare, I am a child of the Most High. All the riches of heaven are mine now. I draw daily from God's bank, and my supply is endless. When Gurdjieff taught his students, he warned them against unconscious talk, for he knew words create worlds. Annie Ricks Millets proclaimed that every word is a prayer, and that prayers never fall to the ground. Ella Wheeler Wilcox, in her poem, declared, you never can tell what your thoughts will do in bringing you hate or love, for thoughts are things, and their airy wings are swifter than carrier doves. She spoke truth, for thoughts become words, and words become flesh. Beloved, I urge you, speak with the majesty of a king, for you are royal. Speak with the authority of a prophet, for you are chosen. Speak with the boldness of faith, for faith is the currency of heaven. Consider the mustard seed. Jesus said that if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto the mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove. Do you see the pattern? Not you shall think, not you shall hope, but you shall say. The mountain obeys the spoken word backed by faith. And what are your mountains? Debt, disease, delay, despair. They stand before you as giants, yet the stone that slays them is the word from your lips. David did not say, I hope the giant falls. He declared, this day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand. And so it was. Oh, the tragedy of unspoken faith. The riches of heaven lie waiting, yet men lock their mouths in silence, or worse, they speak against themselves. They say, I can't afford this. I never have enough. Things never work out for me. And heaven, being just, answers, as you have said, so be it unto you. But tonight, I tell you, reverse the decree. Call back the wasted years. Write new checks upon the bank of spirit. Stand in your living room, stand in your kitchen, stand in your office, and declare aloud, I am rich in divine substance. Money is my servant, not my master. Health flows in my body like a river. Joy is my inheritance. Success is my birthright. For as you speak, so shall it be. As the farmer sows, so shall he reap. And as surely as the sun rises, your words will return with harvest. Napoleon Hill, after studying the world's richest men, concluded in Think and Grow Rich, truly, thoughts are things. But I add, thoughts clothed in words are decrees, and decrees call down the power of heaven. Do not be deceived by appearances. The world of matter is but the echo of your speech. Speak new words, and new worlds appear. Orison Swett Marden, founder of Success magazine, declared, the spoken word has power greater than electricity, greater than dynamite. He knew, as the mystics knew, that the tongue is the switch that lights the lamp of destiny. And so, beloved, let us now speak together. Let us decree with one voice. I draw unlimited wealth from God's bank. I am rich with the riches of heaven. All that is mine by divine right is released to me now. I walk in abundance. I dwell in abundance. I radiate abundance. The windows of heaven are open, and blessings pour forth without measure. Say it until your whole being believes it. Say it until fear flees. Say it until lack dissolves. Say it until the very atoms of your world rearrange themselves to obey your decree. For this is the first law, the unchanging law, the eternal law, the law of the spoken word. What if I told you that heaven has already written your name upon a fortune greater than any vault on Wall Street, greater than the treasures of kings and emperors, greater than the diamonds of Golconda or the oil wells of Texas. But that the only way to claim this inheritance is not with coin, nor signature, nor human credit, but with one thing alone: faith. Faith is the currency of the kingdom. Faith is the gold that never loses value, the stock that never crashes, the bond that never defaults. Faith is the invisible coin that unlocks the visible treasure. Without faith, you cannot draw from God's bank, for fear cannot write a check against heaven's account. But with faith, the impossible bends its knee, the mountains move, the rivers part, and the windows of heaven swing wide to pour you blessings untold. The scripture cries, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Mark it well, faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is substance. Faith is evidence. Faith is the title deed to your blessing, the receipt in hand before the goods arrive. When a man of faith speaks, he does not wonder if it will be so, he knows it is so. His word is already flesh before the eyes of men behold it. Think of Abraham, called to leave his country, his kindred, his father's house. He went forth not knowing whither he went. Why? Because faith was his compass, and faith never fails to lead to the promised land. Think of Moses, standing at the Red Sea with Pharaoh behind and the waters before. He did not say, "I hope a way will open." He lifted the rod in faith, and the sea obeyed. Think of Jesus, who marveled not at sickness or storm, but said only, "Thy faith hath made thee whole." Faith, dear one, is the language of heaven. It is the signature that authorizes the withdrawal slip at God's bank. Fear writes checks that bounce, but faith writes checks that clear instantly, for the vaults of heaven recognize only one signature: faith in divine supply. When Thomas Troward, the great metaphysician, wrote of the creative process, he declared that spirit is always responsive to faith. He said, "We limit the creative power by the limits of our own faith." And is it not true? A child believes in Santa Claus and receives gifts from empty stockings. Grown men laugh at faith, and their stockings remain empty all their lives. Better to be as a child and believe, than to be as a cynic and lack. Napoleon Hill, after studying the titans of industry, concluded, "Faith is the only known antidote for failure." He was right, though his words echo a truth written long before in sacred scripture. According to your faith be it unto you, not according to your labor, not according to your lineage, not according to your learning, but according to your faith. Do you not see? Faith is the eternal equalizer. It makes the poor man rich, the sick man whole, the wabu, eke man strong. Andrew Carnegie's father wove linen in a small cottage in Scotland, yet Carnegie believed he was destined for riches, and his faith drew him to America, where he built a steel empire. Walt Disney, bankrupt more than once, never lost faith in his dream. He said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." That was faith disguised as optimism, and faith brought forth kingdoms of imagination. But listen well, faith is not passive, it is not idle wishing. Faith speaks, faith acts, faith moves, faith calls those things which be not as though they were. Faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the key that unlocks the vault of God's abundance. Do you remember the woman with the issue of blood? For 12 years she suffered, yet she said within herself, "If I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole." Her faith pulled virtue from the Master. Jesus turned and said, "Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole." Do you see? Her healing was not in the hem, but in her faith. The garment was the point of contact, but faith was the power. So it is with money, health, opportunity. The job is not your source. The client is not your source. The inheritance is not your source. They are garments, points of contact. The true source is God's bank, and your faith is the hand that withdraws the blessing. Swami Vivekananda, the great Hindu sage, declared, "Faith, faith, faith in ourselves, faith in God. This is the secret of greatness." He knew, as all prophets know, that the soul clothed in faith cannot be defeated. Faith is invincible, for faith is God in action. But why do so many falter? Because they confuse faith with sight. They say, "I will believe it when I see it," but heaven replies, "You will see it when you believe it." Faith is seeing with the inner eye, hearing with the inner ear, knowing with the inner heart. Faith is walking in the rain with no umbrella, certain the clouds will part. Faith is planting seed in barren soil, certain the harvest will come. Faith is speaking of millions when your purse is empty, certain the supply is on the way. Consider the life of Orison Swett Marden. Born into poverty, orphaned young, he once wrote his first book in a hayloft by candlelight. He had no money, no reputation, no backing, but he had faith. His faith birthed Success magazine, and his writings lifted multitudes from despair into prosperity. Dr. Frank Crane wrote, "Faith is love taking the form of aspiration." Beautiful words. For what is faith but love trusting its beloved? The soul who trusts God with unwavering confidence shall never be ashamed. The check of faith never bounces. The vaults of heaven never run dry. You say, but I have tried faith, and it failed me. Nay, beloved, faith never fails. Perhaps you planted the seed and then dug it up with doubt. Perhaps you spoke the word and then cancelled it with complaint. Perhaps you declared abundance but kept muttering lack. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, and heaven cannot honor a divided tongue. Faith is singleness of vision. Faith is focus. Faith is persistence. Edison's faith burned through 10,000 failures. Carnegie's faith carried him from a weaver's cottage to a palace. Disney's faith turned bankruptcy into billions. Faith is not fragile. It is fire. And fire refines until only gold remains. Do not think faith is easy. It will be tested. The furnace will grow hot. The night will grow long. But it is in the fire that faith is forged. The 3 Hebrew children stood before the flames and declared, "Our God whom we serve is able to deliver us." That is faith. And when they came forth, not a hair of their head was singed. So too must you stand. Declare in the face of debt, "My supply comes from God. I shall not want." Declare in the face of sickness, "By his stripes I am healed." Declare in the face of delay, "In divine right timing, my good appears." And stand unmoved until the promise manifests. Ella Wheeler Wilcox, in her faith-filled verse, wrote, "There is no chance, no destiny, no fate, can circumvent or hinder or control the firm resolve of a determined soul." She was speaking of faith, for faith is resolve wrapped in divine certainty. And now I say unto you, if you would draw from God's bank, deposit faith daily, speak faith, think faith, walk faith, refuse the language of fear, for fear is counterfeit currency. Heaven accepts no checks signed by doubt, only faith, only certainty, only the words spoken with conviction. So let us now make our declaration together. I walk by faith and not by sight. Faith is my currency. Faith is my evidence. Faith opens the vaults of heaven and releases my good. I am rich in faith, and therefore rich in supply. All that is mine by divine right comes to me now, in perfect time, in perfect way. Say it until the walls of doubt tremble. Say it until your heart is aflame. Say it until angels themselves echo your decree. For faith is the key, the coin, the currency. With it, you may purchase anything in heaven's storehouse. Without it, you are bankrupt, though the treasures of eternity stand waiting. And this is the law eternal. According to your faith be it unto you. What if I told you that everything you see around you, the towering skyscraper, the shimmering bridge, the song that stirs your soul, the empire of wealth, the cure that heals, was once unseen? That every visible thing was born first in the invisible? That the chair you sit upon, the clothes upon your back, the very device through which you hear these words were once but a vision in the mind of a man or woman bold enough to see the invisible and call it forth into form? Scripture declares, where there is no vision, the people perish. And how many perish daily, not from lack of food, not from lack of breath, but from lack of vision. They live by the eyes of the flesh, not the eyes of the spirit. They see only bills, only sickness, only failure, only delay. They rehearse what is before them, and wonder why tomorrow mirrors today. But the man of vision, the woman of vision, pierces through appearances. They see with the eyes of God. They gaze into the invisible and declare, so it shall be. Vision is the blueprint of destiny. Vision is the sketch that the master architect lays upon your heart. Without vision, faith has no target, words have no form, action has no direction. Vision is the womb of manifestation. Consider Noah. The earth had never seen rain, yet God gave him a vision of a flood and an ark. While others mocked, Noah built. He built by faith upon vision, and the ark became salvation. Consider Joseph. Betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned, he yet carried a vision of rulership in his heart. His brothers mocked his dreams, but his vision carried him from the pit to the palace. Consider Jesus, who endured the cross for the joy set before him, a vision of redemption that outweighed the agony of nails. Beloved, what is your vision? Do you see only lack, or do you see abundance? Do you see only sickness, or do you see radiant health? Do you see only obstacles, or do you see divine opportunity? You must choose, For the eye of vision creates the world you walk in. Thomas Edison saw light where others saw only darkness. 10,000 failures could not extinguish the lamp in his mind. He saw it before men beheld it. Andrew Carnegie saw an empire of steel where others saw only iron ore and rails. His vision lifted a nation. Walt Disney saw castles in swamps, kingdoms in cartoons, laughter in mice. Others called him foolish. Vision called him faithful, and vision rewarded him. Vision is the lens through which faith focuses. Without vision, faith is blind. With vision, faith is precise. Faith without vision is a soldier without a map. Vision without faith is a map without a soldier. But when vision and faith unite, mountains move, seas part, and worlds are remade. Dr. Carl Jung spoke of the inner eye, the archetypal imagination that shapes the psyche, and thus the world. Ernest Holmes declared that what you can see in the mind, you can hold in the hand. Christian D. Larson wrote, "The man who can see what he wants and never loses sight of his vision, no matter how dark the way, will invariably realize that vision." These men glimpse the law eternal. Seeing precedes being. Do you recall the spies sent into Canaan? 10 returned with the vision of giants, and they declared, "We are as grasshoppers in their sight." Their vision condemned them to wander. But 2, Joshua and Caleb, returned with the vision of grapes, of milk and honey, of victory. They declared, "We are well able to take the land." And so it was. The vision you hold is the future you inherit. Vision is not imagination run wild. It is not idle fantasy. It is divine blueprint, sacred picture, spiritual prototype. It comes as a whisper in the night, a spark in the heart, a burden in the soul. Vision is heaven's photograph of your destiny. But how many despise their vision? They say, "It is too big, too costly, too impossible." And so they bury it. They trade it for wages, for security, for conformity. Yet the buried vision becomes the ghost that haunts them, the hunger that no bread can fill, the thirst that no drink can quench. I tell you, honor your vision. Protect it as Joseph did in the dungeon, as Moses did in the desert, as David did in exile. Speak it, write it, declare it. Feed it with words of faith. For vision, when nourished, becomes flesh. Prentice Mulford wrote, "The man of vision lives already in the reality of that vision. He understood the mystic truth. To see is to be." When you live in the vibration of your vision, the outer world must rearrange to match the inner picture. Beloved, dare to see beyond appearances. See yourself free of debt, and debt dissolves. See yourself whole, and health manifests. See yourself successful, and doors open. For the outer world is but clay in the hands of the inner eye. Even the great mystics of the East taught this. The yogis spoke of drishti, divine sight. Gurdjieff taught his pupils that man lives asleep until he awakens the inner vision. Annie Rix Mielitz declared that imagination is the workshop of God in the mind of man. Vision is not childish fancy. It is God whispering his plans through the canvas of your soul. When you walk by vision, you defy circumstance. You see plenty and famine, healing and sickness, victory and defeat. You do not deny reality. You transform it by beholding a higher reality. Jesus said, "Lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest." The harvest was invisible to the natural eye, but not to vision. Do not wait for evidence. Evidence follows vision. Edison saw light before wires glowed. Carnegie saw wealth before accounts swelled. Disney saw castles before bricks were laid. You must see it before you receive it, and when you see it, speak it. For vision clothed in word becomes form. Write it upon your walls, declare it in your prayers, announce it to your soul. For write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Beloved, never despise small visions. The oak begins as an acorn. The empire begins as a dream. The song begins as a hum. The inventize on begins as a sketch. Hold the vision, no matter how small, and feed it until it grows. Ella Wheeler Wilcox wrote, "The soul's highest duty is to unfold the divine vision locked within it." She spoke truth. For your vision is not selfish. It is God's gift to the world through you. To deny your vision is to rob the world of its blessing. To walk in your vision is to let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So I ask you now, what do you see? Do you see yourself as grasshopper or giant? Do you see yourself as beggar or king? Do you see yourself as victim or victor? The choice is yours, and the vision you hold will mold your destiny. Say with me, I see with the eyes of spirit. I see abundance where others see lack. I see health where others see sickness. I see opportunity where others see closed doors. I see my destiny, and I walk in it now. Repeat it until the vision burns bright. Repeat it until fear fades. Repeat it until the invisible is more real than the visible. For vision is not fantasy. Vision is prophecy. Vision is the picture of tomorrow painted by the brush of faith today. And this is the law eternal. As far as thine eye can see, so shall it be given unto thee. What if I told you that success is never the child of restless striving, but always the offspring of right action? What if I told you that many men and women labor endlessly, yet harvest little, because their action is misaligned? Action born of fear, not faith. Action rooted in panic, not in divine guidance? They push, they pull, they scheme, they hurry, and still their nets come back empty. But when a soul moves in divine alignment, when action flows from the still small voice, doors open of their own accord, paths straighten, and harvest comes without struggle. The psalmist declared, "Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it." You may toil with hammer and stone, but if your action is not aligned with divine plan, the house will crumble. Yet when you build in God, a single step accomplishes what 1,000 steps of self-effort could never do. Right action is not mere activity. Right action is movement in rhythm with heaven. It is the dance of obedience to the invisible conductor. It is the hand raised at the right moment, the word spoken in the right hour, the step taken in divine timing. Consider Moses at the Red Sea. He did not thrash in panic. He waited for the word, then lifted his rod. A single right action, and the sea parted. Consider David before Goliath. He did not don Saul's armor and strive with heavy sword. He took only a sling and a stone, the right action for his hand, and the giant fell. Consider Jesus when faced with the hungry multitude. He did not rush to bake bread. He took the loaves and fishes, gave thanks, and broke them. The right action, and thousands were fed. So it is in your life. 1,000 wrong actions cannot accomplish what a single right action can do. For right action is not human effort. It is divine orchestration. Thomas Edison worked tirelessly, yes, but his action was not random. It was guided by vision, sustained by faith, aligned with law. Andrew Carnegie did not build his empire by mere sweat. He listened for opportunities, seized them in right season, and his action multiplied. Walt Disney drew pictures others mocked, but his action was aligned with vision, and vision made action fruitful. Right action comes when fear is silenced and faith speaks. Fear pushes, faith guides. Fear rushes, faith waits. Fear strives, faith flows. Fear scatters, faith focuses. Many souls cry, "What must I do?" And heaven replies, "Be still and know. Act only in alignment. For when you are still, the voice of spirit directs your steps. One phone call, one meeting, one gesture, one word spoken in the right spirit can open doors wealth cannot buy." Do you remember Peter fishing all night and catching nothing? Jesus said, "Cast your net on the right side of the ship." One act of obedience, one right action, filled the nets to breaking. So it is with you. Right action, guided by spirit, produces harvest beyond your imagination. Gurdjieff taught his disciples that unconscious action is wasted force, but conscious action aligned with purpose awakens the soul. Annie Ricks Millets declared that obedience to inner guidance is the shortest path to success. Ernest Holmes said, "We do not do great things by force, but by alignment with the great law." Each in their tongue declared the same truth: action must be aligned with spirit. But how do you find right action? You listen. You wait. You pray. You watch. You silence the noise of fear, the clamor of opinion, the pressure of time, and you ask, "Lord, what would you have me do?" And the answer will come. Not in thunder always, but often in a whisper. Not in a flood of plans, but in a single step. Take that step. Obey that whisper. And as you move, the next step will appear. The world teaches hustle. Heaven teaches harmony. The world shouts, "Do more." Heaven whispers, "Do right." The world urges striving. Heaven commands alignment. Which will you follow? Consider Joseph in Egypt. He did not rush to escape the dungeon. He interpreted a dream, one right action, and was lifted to the throne. Consider Esther before the king. She did not demand rashly. She waited 3 days, fasted, prayed, then spoke at the right moment, one right action, and saved her people. Do not despise small actions. A seed is small, yet within it lies a forest. A word is small, yet it can open nations. A smile is small, yet it can heal a heart. Right action need not be grand. It need only be aligned. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that flow when man moves in harmony with the unseen. He glimpsed the truth. Right action aligns us with divine currents, and then life ceases to be random. The right people appear. The right resources come. The right doors open. You cannot force synchronicity, but you can align with it. Beloved, let go of frantic effort. Step into divine rhythm. Say each morning, I am guided into right action. Every step I take is ordered by the Lord. I do not waste time, for Spirit directs me. I am always in the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing, with the right people. And then watch. Watch how swiftly the universe rearranges to serve you. Watch how effort dwindles and fruit multiplies. Watch how peace replaces panic. Ease replaces struggle. Harmony replaces confusion. Ella Wheeler Wilcox wrote, always continue to give, to act, to serve, to inspire, but always under guidance, never under compulsion, for she knew that right action flows from inspiration, never from desperation. Napoleon Hill observed that most fortunes were made not by constant labor, but by decisive action at opportune moments. He called it the turning point of fortune. I call it right action. One inspired step outweighs years of restless toil. So beloved, cease running in circles, cease scattering your energy, cease bowing to fear's false urgency, step into alignment, act only when faith speaks, and when you act, act boldly, for right action carries divine authority. Say with me now, I am divinely guided, I act only in harmony with Spirit, every step I take prospers, my action is effortless, fruitful, and blessed, I am always in the flow of right action. Repeat it until peace floods you, repeat it until confusion lifts. Repeat it until the path glows beneath your feet, for when you walk in right action, you walk with heavy, and as your companion, and the world cannot resist you. And this is the law eternal, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. What if I told you that nothing in your life has ever been late, and nothing has ever been early? That every blessing, every breakthrough, every door, every miracle has always arrived at the exact second decreed by heaven? What if I told you that delay is not denial, but divine choreography, that time itself bends in obedience to the rhythm of Spirit? The scripture declares, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. Seeds know this law. The farmer plants in spring, and he does not dig up the earth in impatience, demanding fruit in a day. He trusts the season. He knows the invisible work beneath the soil is as real as the visible stalk. He knows harvest comes, not by rushing, not by pleading, but by the law of perfect unfoldment. Yet man, blinded by fear, cries, Lord, why have you delayed? He beats upon doors not meant to open yet. He forces blooms not ready to flower. He grows restless in the waiting, and in his impatience, he withers the seed. But the soul that trusts divine timing rests in peace. He knows that what is his will come to him, never late, never lost. He walks in serenity, knowing the clock of heaven cannot fail. Consider Joseph. Betrayed, enslaved, imprisoned. 13 years passed before his vision came true. Was it wasted time? No, it was divine preparation. The dungeon sharpened the dream. And when the hour struck, he rose from prisoner to prime minister in a single day. Divine timing never wastes a moment. Consider Moses. 40 years in Pharaoh's palace, 40 years in the desert, 80 years of waiting before his call to lead Israel. Was God late? No. When the bush burned, the timing was perfect. Consider Jesus. 30 years hidden in Nazareth. 3 years in ministry, yet every act came in its appointed hour. He often said, my time is not yet come. And when the hour arrived, he moved, and destiny unfolded. Beloved, heaven is never hurried, yet never late. The clock of eternity does not tick by man's impatience. It beats with perfect rhythm. When you align with that rhythm, you walk in peace. When you resist it, you walk in torment. Thomas Troward wrote of the divine order, that every effect arises in perfect sequence from its cause. Ernest Holmes echoed, infinite mind knows no hurry, for it knows no lack. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, the mysterious timing of events that reveal an unseen hand. Each voice declared what Scripture had long proclaimed, all unfolds in divine right time. Andrew Carnegie once said, the man who cannot wait for opportunity will never find it. He knew that fortune favors not the frantic, but the patient. Edison toiled for years before the bulb lit, yet each failure was a step in right sequence. Walt Disney dreamed for decades before his magic kingdom opened, yet when the gates finally swung wide, the timing was perfect. You must learn to trust the delay. Delay is often protection. Delay is preparation. Delay is heaven aligning people, places, and provision. If your blessing came too soon, you would not be ready to hold it. If your door opened too early, the room would not yet be prepared. But when all is ready, the call will come, the letter will arrive, the door will swing, and you will step into destiny as if it had been waiting for you all along. The Hebrews wandered 40 years in the wilderness, not because God was cruel, but because they were not ready. They carried Egypt in their hearts. They had to be prepared for Canaan. Divine timing is mercy disguised. Swami Vivekananda said, "All is His will, all is His timing. Why worry?" He spoke truth. Worry wastes time. Trust redeems it. You say, "But my dream has tarried long." I say, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Divine timing may seem slow, but when it comes, it is sudden. Joseph waited years, but his promotion came in a day. Paul and Silas sang in prison, and at midnight the doors flew open. Peter slept in chains, but at the appointed hour, an angel struck them off. Delay is not denial. Delay is orchestration. Heaven is weaving threads unseen, aligning hearts unknown, setting the stage for your appearance. The actor waits in the wings until the cue. Then the spotlight shines, and he steps forth, right on time. So it is with your destiny. Beloved, cease fretting, say, in divine right timing, all that is mine appears. Nothing is late, nothing is lost. I rest in the law of perfect unfoldment. My delays are divine appointments. My waiting is preparation. At the right hour, all shall be fulfilled. Speak it until peace stills you. Speak it until worry dissolves. Speak it until your soul trusts the unseen hand upon the clock of your life. Ella Wheeler Wilcox wrote, "All roads that have been tried by mortal feet, all ways that have been pursued by human will, are dark and barren, but the waiting soul that trusts shall see the dawn." She knew that trust in timing brings dawn out of darkness. Napoleon Hill wrote of the turning point, that success comes when patience and persistence meet opportunity. He called it luck, but I call it divine timing. So trust, beloved. The seed beneath the soil is not dead. The vision in your heart is not forgotten. The blessing in heaven's vault has not expired. Wait, trust, rest, for in the appointed time, the fruit shall ripen, the door shall open, the blessing shall burst forth. And this is the law eternal. In divine right timing, nothing is missing, nothing is broken, all is perfect, all is whole. What if I told you that most of your struggles, most of your burdens, most of your delays come not from life itself but from resistance? What if I told you that by fighting circumstances you have dammed the very river that longs to carry you into freedom? Man resists, and in his resistance he suffers. He clenches his fists, stiffens his neck, hardens his heart, and wonders why peace eludes him. Yet Christ taught, "Resist not evil," for he knew that the moment you cease fighting shadows, the light dissolves them. The moment you release, spirit flows. Non-resistance is not weakness, it is supreme strength. It is not surrender to defeat, it is surrender to God. It is the art of yielding to divine flow, of ceasing to struggle against what is, and allowing heaven to lift you. Consider water. Water does not fight rocks, it flows around them. It does not battle mountains, it carves valleys through patience. Water yields, yet nothing resists it. This is the law of non-resistance. Yield, and you conquer. Release, and you triumph. Thomas Edison met failure after failure, yet he did not resist them. He flowed with each discovery, learned, adapted, and the light shone. Andrew Carnegie yielded to changing markets, flowing into opportunity, and his wealth multiplied. Walt Disney faced ridicule, bankruptcy, rejection, yet he refused bitterness. He flowed, dreamed again, and built a kingdom of joy. Non-resistance is the refusal to dwell in anger. It is the choice to meet opposition with serenity. It is the power to say, "Father, forgive them," even when nails pierce your hands. It is the wisdom to know that no weapon formed against you can prosper, unless you empower it with your resistance. Gurdjieff taught his students that resistance feeds the very thing opposed. Jung observed that what you resist, persists. Scripture declared it long before. Agree with thine adversary quickly. Why? Because agreement dissolves conflict. To resist evil is to give it substance. To release it is to let it vanish into nothingness. Beloved, many of you are weary not because life is hard, but because you fight the current. You resist change, you resist loss, you resist people, you resist timing. And your resistance creates friction, suffering, delay. Yet when you release, peace floods you. When you let go, the river carries you. Say, I do not fight circumstances. I flow in divine order. Nothing and no one can oppose me, for I resist not. I am as water, yielding yet unconquerable. I let go, and Spirit carries me. Jesus said, Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He was calling you into non-resistance. Rest is the fruit of release. Burdens dissolve when you cease to clutch them. Consider Joseph. He did not resist betrayal. He did not fight his brothers, nor the dungeon. He yielded to each step, and God lifted him higher through what men meant for evil. Consider Paul. Shipwrecked, beaten, imprisoned, yet he sang. His chains fell, not because he fought them, but because he transcended them. Non-resistance does not mean permitting abuse. It means refusing to let the enemy of your soul occupy your heart. It means releasing hatred, releasing vengeance, releasing fear, and flowing into divine solution. For every problem is already solved in God, but your resistance blinds you to the answer. Ernest Holmes declared, All resistance is fear, and all fear is lack of faith. He spoke the truth. Faith flows, fear resists, faith trusts, fear clings, faith releases, fear grasps. Beloved, practice release. Release grievances and health will flow. Release grudges and prosperity will return. Release control and guidance will speak. Release fear and miracles will unfold. Napoleon Hill told the story of men who gave up digging for gold 3 feet from the vein. Their resistance blinded them. They quit, and another reaped the treasure. Learn this: resistance blinds, but release reveals. Ella Wheeler Wilcox wrote, It is not the gale, but the set of the sail that decides the way we go. You cannot control the winds, but you can. And release resistance and set your sail to spirit. Then even storms carry you to destiny. Say each day, I flow with life. I resist not. I yield to spirit. I am carried into my good without strain or struggle. And as you say it, feel the tension leave your body. Feel the burden leave your shoulders. Feel the river lift you. For non-resistance is the secret of ease. Ease is the atmosphere of miracles, and miracles appear, not by force, but by flow. And now, beloved listener, if these words have opened your spirit, if you feel the river of truth flowing through you, I invite you to flow with us in this sacred work. Subscribe to this channel, that you may not miss the next word of revelation. Like this video, that others may be guided into peace. For when you join in this divine flow, you become a channel through which truth spreads to every soul in need. And remember, the law is eternal. Resist not, release, and spirit will carry you where effort never could. What if I told you that the invisible world is more real than the visible, that what you see with your eyes is but the shadow, while what you decree with your word is the substance? What if I told you that the harvest you long for already exists in divine mind, waiting only for your faith to give it form? You say, I will believe it when I see it. Spirit replies, you will see it when you believe it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the bridge between invisible promise and visible manifestation. Faith is the womb in which the word becomes flesh. Without faith, the word is spoken but unborn. With faith, the word takes root, grows, and appears in form. Beloved, manifestation is not magic. It is law. Speak the word, believe the word, act in alignment, release resistance, and in divine timing, the harvest appears. You need not force it. You need not struggle. The farmer does not tug at the stalk. He waters the seed and waits. Manifestation comes as surely as dawn follows night. Consider Abraham. God showed him the stars and said, So shall thy seed be. He believed, though his body was old, though Sarah's womb was barren, his faith became manifestation, and Isaac was born. Consider Hannah. She prayed, believed, released, and Samuel was born. Consider Mary. She received the word, said, Be it unto me according to thy word, and the Christ was manifested. Manifestation is simply the harvest of invisible faith. The invisible becomes visible, the word becomes flesh, the dream becomes reality. Andrew Carnegie believed in steel before others believed. His faith drew investors, workers, cities, and wealth appeared. Edison believed in the unseen light. He saw the bulb before wires glowed, and his faith manifested illumination. Walt Disney saw castles before ground was broken, heard laughter before gates were built, and his faith manifested kingdoms of joy. Orison Swett Marden wrote, All men who have accomplished great things have had great faith. He spoke a universal law. For manifestation follows faith as surely as echo follows sound. But take heed, manifestation is not forced, it is received. You do not claw at heaven's door, you open your hands, you speak your word, you rest in trust. You become a vessel through which spirit pours substance into form. Say, I already have it in divine mind. I thank God it is mine now. I walk as if it were visible, and soon the invisible shall appear. Gratitude seals manifestation. Thanksgiving before the harvest draws the harvest forth. Jesus gave thanks for loaves and fishes before they multiplied. He thanked at Lazarus's tomb before the dead man rose. Gratitude precedes glory. Non-resistance prepares manifestation. Faith attracts it. Right action aligns with it. Divine timing releases it. But manifestation itself is inevitable when the word is believed. Carl Jung spoke of the archetypes of the collective unconscious shaping reality. Gurdjieff spoke of higher energies crystallizing into matter. Ernest Holmes declared, thought is creative, and what you think manifests. Each was touching the hem of the eternal garment. The unseen creates the seen. Beloved, do not say, someday. Do not say, perhaps. Say, now. For the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Not in a far-off age, but in this moment. Declare it now. Speak it now. Believe it now. Receive it now. Say, all that is mine by divine right manifests now. The wealth I seek is appearing. The health I affirm is unfolding. The love I desire is present. The doors I need are opening. My good is visible, tangible, undeniable. I see it, I feel it, I live it, I walk in it. Speak until your soul thrills with certainty. Speak until the invisible shines within you. Speak until heaven and earth agree, and manifestation bursts into form. Joseph dreamed of sheaves and stars bowing before him. The dream tarried, but it manifested in Egypt. Noah saw the ark in vision long before a drop of rain fell, but manifestation came in flood. The prophet saw Messiah centuries before his birth, but manifestation came in Bethlehem. So too your word will manifest, not one jot shall fail. Napoleon Hill wrote, what the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. He touched divine truth. Conception is the word, belief is the faith, achievement is the manifestation. Beloved, miracles are not exceptions, they are manifestations of law. When you align with faith, speak the word, release resistance, move in right action, and rest in timing, manifestation is certain. The universe must deliver, for the law cannot fail. So stand in boldness, do not beg, do not waver, do not fear. Speak as one who knows, speak as heir of the kingdom, speak as one who draws from God's bank unlimited, and in watch as heaven's invisible substance takes visible form before your very eyes. For this is the law eternal, what you decree in faith shall manifest in form. The word made flesh is the destiny of every believing soul.